T-Man 978 Chill Review.
Hello everyone, T-Man 978, brought to you by Nate's Toys and Collectibles. Yes, I paid for it, he didn't just give it to me. We have Transform Element TE-03, Unreal Image, Speedstar, aka Phantom, aka Mirage. Got like 3 different freaking names. Unreal Image sounds better than Speedstar. I don't even understand why they put Speedstar on there. Phantom makes more sense. But anyway, here's my experience with this thing. When I opened the package, I was like, wow, that looks like frickin' Fans Toys. In fact, it's still, get straight, I wanted to talk about that later. Anywho, it looks really, really freaking good, like it jumped out of the cartoon. And looks-wise, worthy successor to this guy, who is basically like an old school type Masterpiece figure where it's realistic blended with the cartoon more than straight up 100% cartoon, as you see the engines right there instead of these square things right there. And it has more of the deco and whatnot. I honestly don't feel like transforming this thing for a car mode comparison, but here you are. I wanted to replace this dude because when I got him, he felt really, really loose and had other issues and whatnot. But does this guy do a good job at replacing him? Let's find out. First off, the head. I mean, if you want a real cartoon accurate version, the answer is yes, this guy does a good job. But here is the head right here. There's a big ball joint in the back of that. I'll show the articulation off later. It comes with this one on, and you have to stare and stare and stare for a long time before you realize what's different. It is slightly taller than this head right here. And the face is a little bit longer. And for some reason, this one has a screw in the back of it. So, yeah. But this one doesn't. So, I don't know why they have like 2 different head designs. And what you can do here, this has like a ball joint. You've seen the ball joint, so this is an early preview of the articulation. If you split the head, you can get the front of this plate off right here, and then we can go ahead and attach this plate. Take this one off, and it does have like a blue thing right there in the back. It looks to be, it's transparent, but they went ahead and painted it the cartoon blue. And slide this back on. I wish there was an easier way where you didn't need a spudger, but when you switch that, now he has a new smiling face right there, which is cool. And this face only works on this head right here. I tried it on this one. If you do it, you see how his helmet comes to the top of his eyes. The eyes are a little bit lower and it looks way off. It doesn't look right. But any other accessories, he does come with this separate missile. This is like this until you port that into there and it pushes it back, and it kind of feels like it locks. And if you push it hard enough, well, never mind. I accidentally shot that off earlier, but now it's not working when I'm trying to show y'all, so it's making me look stupid. But anywho, there's a hinge here and a hinge there, and it rotates. So you can have it straight, but I like to have it cocked back, and it kind of can tilt, but it'll bump into the armed articulation right there. Here is the gun right here. Here it is compared to the Ocular Max, which I think is more G1 toy accurate. But you've seen what the body looks like, basically. The foot is die cast. And I'm sure it has some other die cast. Oh, I believe these engines on this back are die cast, at least the silver parts, not the black parts. And there may be some other die cast in here, but like I was saying earlier, it looks like a Fans Toys product, but when I picked it up, there was a difference. I've been messing with this thing, or I was messing with this thing for a few days before I got this guy. He is heavy to be a little figure. Then I weighed them just a second ago, and he's actually heavier than this guy. He's 7.2 ounces, and this is 6.6 ounces. That's nuts. I mean, it feels heavier than a Takara product, but yeah, this thing is crazy heavy. But let's get into this articulation. The shoulders can hinge up a little bit and hinge down right there. Go out to the side. This can hinge out. Swivel right here. All this is tight. Look at that. That goes all the way in. The wrist rotates. The hands open up just like the Ocular Max. And unfortunately, like the Ocular Max, it has this same thumb articulation on a screw. Some of the engineering, let me just get into it. Some of the engineering on here seems really retro, old school. This is the waist articulation. It has 2 points of crunch right down here. You can pull on the bottom and the butt separates, and you can get an ab crunch like that. And that will give you not too much more range. But if you bend the transformation crunch, let me lock that back into place. And this is hard to get to be honest with you. I'm grabbing on these plates right here. It locks into place. If they wanted this to be actual articulation, I don't think they should have made it lock into place. There are some other things that should have locked in place that I'm going to get to. But when you bend that down, you get a little bit more range right there, which is cool. Now, to get outward motion, you need to move that out of the way. And this goes out. And that's stiff right there. This joint is incredibly stiff. And now I see that I totally forgot to mention something. These hips, if you got this figure early right now, if you're not getting it from a big distributor like Big Bad Toy Story or some place like that, if you got it early, these hips are misinstalled. I already fixed it. I know I'm the leg fix dude. But I'm going to have to send y'all the TM reviews. Basically, this blue ring right here, the top part is higher right here. That's how it's supposed to be. And it's more flat on the bottom. When you first open it, if it's installed incorrectly, this blue ring will be lower down here and flatter at the top. If that's the case, what you're going to have to do is unscrew both of these screws. Try desperately to pry this open so you can get this little piece out. Pull the leg off, rotate the joint, and put it back together. And it is incredibly difficult, and that's probably why they recalled the thing, so they could fix it themselves, because that is a lot of hassle right there. Well, besides that leg articulation, you do get thigh swivel, and you do get 2 points at the knee, depending on that's a good bend right there. That's a really good bend. And you get this ankle pivot right here, and the toe can do this, and this goes like that. Problems as far as the engineering that I wasn't mentioning. These toes are die cast, and they are on a pin. Bruh. So there's like no way, because you don't even see that on the other side. There's no way that I can think of that I can tighten that up or that I feel comfortable with, because I might break it. I mean, when the foot is like this, It's locked into place by the tire. It's not going anywhere, but just know that that's a thing that can happen. It can get friggin' loose. Posing him, it shouldn't be too much of a problem because it's still gonna, depending on how you have it, it's still gonna lean up on the foot anyway, on the up tire, I mean. But there's that. And then there is the fact that there is a pin right here. And I just don't like pins. None of this is ratcheted. Sony from TM Reviews, he opened the leg up and he saw that this thing does have, and I'll let you see right there, it has ratchets molded there, but there is no ratchet system in there. I don't know why they did that. It should have been a ratchet in there, and it definitely should have been a ratchet in this upper hinge, because yeah. So we have the toe thing, the knees can get loose, the ab crunch locks incredibly too hard, and you feel like you're going to risk breaking the thing accessing it. This right here, it stays in place, but I'm going to still bring it up. It stays in place, but nothing's really locking that. There's like no peg system keeping that in place. And my biggest problem, I didn't show the articulation up here. The head is on like a hinge and a ball joint. This hinge is incredibly tight. The ball joint, incredibly tight with both heads. You get a lot of range of motion out of this head, which I really super appreciate. What I don't appreciate is this bib thing right here. It's attached to that hinge very tightly. You can go forward. When you go back, that lifts up. That is a massive annoyance right there. Any of this other stuff I can work around because it's not like a freaking rag doll. But this, they put no locking mechanism at all. Nothing. That is clean. They put nothing there, and I can't believe that. So unless you just turn the head left and right, just know every time you articulate this dude's head, you're gonna have to hold your finger right here or hold your thumb there and keep it into place, or just pose his head to how you want and know that you're gonna have to push that back. And I can't believe they let this thing out of the factory like that, to be honest. All right, here's some of my more cartoon friendly Autobots. As you can see, he's a little bit taller than Sunstreaker and Jazz, so he's amazingly tall. Let me see. I thought these were the same height. They practically are, but he's a little tiny bit taller, depending on how I have the neck placed. Let me move the neck all the way down. Nah, he's taller because now that guy is like the same height as Sunstreaker, so he's taller. Transformation. It's not super duper difficult, but it does get a little bit convoluted in the legs. Gonna pull that off and naturally take the gun out, which pegs in like that. Push the thumb down, push these fingers in. Go ahead and open that panel, flip that in, blah blah blah. Same junk over here. Open the fingers up, push the thumb down, shut that. Open this panel, put them in there. Now, lift the head up at an angle like this. Lift this up completely like that. Both those two hinges, or both those two panels. Now, where do we go from here? Start lifting this up. Kind of start pulling these out. And you can slide the head, slides down on the slider, slide that down. Get this up some. Back here, we're gonna grab this and kind of lift it forward, like over top of the head. Now, we can grab this bring this out some, and I'm going to bend that waist that didn't want to bend or doesn't want to arch. Rotate that, and we can have access to these flaps right here. Bring this all the way down, and we can shut. If nothing is in the way, we should slide that right there. So if this is forward and this is down, we can slide that. Now we can bring this out and up like this, bring this up and up like that. Down here we can bring this engine out, but we're gonna have to adjust that when we get there. Now down here we can bring the arms down, rotate it, and push them into this area here. Come on, it comes down lower than this, or it should. Yeah, there we go. Bring the shoulder down, lift that up, rotate this in, and these two tab together loosely. Now this part is hard for me to do every single time. This needs to come down like this, rotate, and we can get the tire around it. And now we can rotate that joint up like that, lift this up, and bring it into this area right here. Now we can slide these panels up. Slide them up. Once you get it up, it should stay in place, and we should be able to rotate this and bend that hinge down and bring that down. Bring that up, lift this up. What I dislike about this is this doesn't like lock onto anything. It does, nothing pegs into that. So this hinge, you see how loose that is just going to be reliant on everything else. Put the wheels out. We might as well just flip these out while we're here. I don't really like this either. Nothing really tabs to make that stay into place either. Anywho, now these crazy legs. The crotch panel can... my fun camera stopped on me. So let's try to do this. I'm gonna put one leg out to the side and untab it here. It was tabbed onto this peg right there. And then we should be able to loosen this up a little bit. Bring this out. Then I'm gonna slide on this pin right here. I'm gonna grab it directly at the hinge. Try not to break it. And then we can slide this down on that pin and shut it once you slide it up. All right, now we can kind of get this stuff out of the way. We can lift this up and start bringing it in this direction, which will bring the wheel out. This confuses me every time I even do it, to be honest. Bring this out. The leg is still straight at this. No, it's not. I turned it this way so that I can have access to push this down and get that into place. And now what needs to happen is we need to shut this, but then we can't stop there. We need to actually we're good to go. We're good to go. I always confuse myself. Now we can move this up, rotate this in, bring that down, and slide this directly on the pin. I try to do it as close to the pin as possible, or that piece of metal, because I'm getting flashbacks of transforming Bad Cube War Dog. Now let's try to do this again with less confusion. Open this up, which will loosen this up, which will allow us to slide that forward. Slide this down and shut that. Now we can get this out of the way, which will give us access to pull this up. And when we start rotating this, we can bring the wheel up. All right. And now we can rotate the leg this way. Open this up. Kind of bring the hip out to give you room. Rotate this so it can come down this way. And now we can kind of bring the leg back in while shutting this hinge. Lift this up. Slide it on that pin. This one is tight and scares the poop out of me. Maybe bend it. Keep working with it carefully, basically. Rotate this foot in. And now we can start bringing all this together. So basically get that straight and push the crotch back up. Lock that back into place. Now here's what needs to happen. This needs to slide. The panel that we brought over from the leg that brought the wheel out needs to slide over to there. And here's a weird thing that happened to me. When I transformed this the first time, this panel fell completely off. I had to glue it back. Then when I transformed it back, this panel fell off. So I don't know what's up with that. Combine this together, and now we can make sure that these crotch flap things on it are up. We can move this up, which will peg 2 pegs over here. Well, mainly this one peg goes into there. We need to get this up under here, and then there's another little peg that goes into that groove. So now the same stuff over here. Make sure this is slid up high enough so that that peg can go in there. Get this in between there and peg that one little peg there. And basically just straighten everything up. Put this how you want it. And make sure all this is done, and make sure everything is squeezed together. And basically we're done. He is a race car. He's a, I want to say F1 racer, but I could be wrong, and I don't want to trigger anybody. Anywho, here you go. Oh yeah, make sure that this stuff is pushed down, and push these side engine parts down, and you're done. It rolls excellently, no problems. You have an option of keeping this up or bringing it down there. I like it to be up because it was up on the original toy. The wheels stay locked into place. Everything seems good. Weird thing, or bold thing I should say, is it actually says Ford right there. So they're stealing intellectual property from Hasbro and Takara Tomy, plus Ford. Isn't that lovely? Here's the detail right here. It's only a fake little seat right there with a little steering wheel. I don't believe that works, but while we're up close, here's what the tires look like. Yeah, these seams, I wish that these locked into place. And yeah, besides that, everything else seems to be good to go. I like the storage right here. It actually says Gitanes. I think the original toy said that, but they had, or no, I think they changed the word because I just recently found out that those are some kind of cigarettes or something like that. So they couldn't do that. But let's bring this dude in to compare. Yay. And here you see they changed. Some of this is repro labels. I got this secondhand. And what I like about this one over this one, these wheels never really locked into place for me. These, look at that. Definitely a no-no. It should have been a definite secure lock. And nothing I did stopped that from flopping all over the place. But the wheels are the main problem in this issue, and I mean in this figure. With this one though, I do remember you being able to, or am I remembering things? I think you could store one of these on here, but there's no storage for this besides that shoulder cannon. Everything else is off to the side unless we store it in this seat poorly. Another thing, these wheels always like to slide off of here like so easy. But long story short, I like this one better. It really succeeds more. I wanted to do a robot mode comparison with this guy, but he's been a Jeep all year. These two guys, I always think about these two because of their powers. And Trailbreaker. Here's this. So, good length. Maybe he's too long. I don't know how long these cars are in real life. But anywho, oh boy, I'm going to do my final thoughts while it's still a car. This is mostly a good figure. Mostly a good figure. The paint and details came out really well for the most part. I do have, and some of this was already here when I opened it, like paint chippage and whatnot. And there's other little things, like when I zoomed in on this tire, like you're seeing this mold flash up in there. I could probably fix that, I don't know. But yeah, this thing lacked polish. So that like threw me off, like seeing, and I didn't zoom. Oh, here we go. Like mold flash right there on the crotch skirt. I feel like this was rushed out, and the hips being incorrectly installed really makes me feel like that. And you heard the things I complained about as far as the engineering with the toes and whatnot. Amazingly, they're staying for the most, amazingly it's staying right here in car mode, which is good. But this whole bib thing right here, and luckily it stays like this in car mode. It's like kind of, it's the joint is stiff enough to stay there, but I can tell you they gave it a stiff joint, but it's so stiff that when you move the neck, this moves with it, which is very unfortunate. Like you can see the head trying to move. So if they do a re-release, they definitely need to come up with a new way to put this together. Like there should have been something inside of the cavity right here locking that into place. I don't know why they didn't think about that. Or were they thinking, and then you see stuff like this. This hinge right here is loose, and that doesn't lock into place. Now, you won't be, or I don't think too many people will be riding the car upside down, but yeah, there aren't a lot of tabs, and there aren't a lot of locking mechanisms where there should be locking mechanisms. So this thing, most places have it for $100. I didn't pay that much through Nate's Toys and Collectibles, and I wouldn't suggest paying $100 for this. As close to 80 as possible for this thing, for me, because this is definitely, I'm going to put it on some of the same level as some of the official MPs, but below the level at the same time. And this thing does move. They didn't give any instructions. There were no instructions for this at all. The QR code on the back of the box, or the side of the box, I scanned it and it took me to a transformation video. That's not in English. There's no vocals at all. It only shows you from robot to car. I'm gonna do another video. In fact, I already filmed the reverse transformation back to robot mode, so expect me to have a transformation video for that. And anywho, thank y'all for watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble. Mostly good, but it's rough around the edges, but I still like it at the end of the day. Thank you for watching. Until next time, T-Man 978 out of here. Click the videos, click the token videos, baby. Click the videos. You should really click these videos. Click the videos. Click token videos, baby. Click the videos. You really should click those videos. Click that shit.